First of all, so grateful for our fans and everyone that made tonight such an awesome crowd. Um, it seems like every game tops the last. Um, Obviously in the first half, the way that Cam shot the ball, the way our team was able to score the ball, um, it got us going. I thought the margin at halftime was probably bigger than how we had played. But when the ball goes in a lot from outside, that tends to happen. Second half, ton of credit to DePaul. Unbelievable fight, toughness. They did a great job on the defensive end, blowing up a lot of our actions, just tougher. And I think it's a great lesson for our team if we're able to have the humility to accept it, that, first of all, human nature is really powerful. You're up 21 at the half, and it's easy to think that it's easy, but it's never easy. And you have to stay committed to all the things that go into getting stops, go into scoring the basketball, and most importantly, you have to stay committed to the bottom line rule of basketball, which is when your whole is greater than the sum of your parts, it reflects better on the parts. When the parts all of a sudden don't necessarily put 1,000% into making the whole greater, reflects on the parts too. So credit to DePaul for the way they fought. Obviously, this is one that second half that we'll watch a lot of this tape tomorrow.
Shaka, you guys obviously clinched a share of the Big East title, but like you said, it was a choppy second half. As a coach, how do you balance, maybe pointing out the accomplishment or celebrating the accomplishment against, pointing out stuff that your guys have to work on?
Yeah, I mean, I told the guys in the locker room it's fine to have mixed emotions. It's good to have mixed emotions. There's should be some powerful, positive emotions from clinching at least a share of the Big East, and then I believe winning more Big East games than have been won at Marquette. Is that right, Scott? And then the other emotion is, after you play a game, you don't have to say anything, just the way that you feel as a player or as a coach. If it was an A game, a B game, a C game. And so, if you have high expectations and a high standard, you want to improve on that if it wasn't your best. But our guys, I think all year long, have gained a level of competitive maturity. At the same time, we still got some guys that are not all the way there yet in terms of, truly being every second, all the time, grown men. And that's okay. We got to keep getting better, keep growing. I thought we did make some really good plays down the stretch to make sure that we won the game and to keep the lead at all times more than one possession. And then Tyler, got some of the bumps that he didn't get earlier in the half, and was able to go to the foul line a bunch and made almost all of his free throw.
I've seen a number of teams celebrate clinching a share of the conference title by cutting down nets. Y'all didn't do that. You really didn't do much of anything after the game except shake hands. Just why didn't you kind of have that conference title celebration after clinching a share?
We got 2 more games. Yeah, so, if this was our last game, then we would have done that. But, I asked Oso and Tyler a couple of days ago what they wanted to do with that, and they said, let's try to win more. And obviously, when you get to this point, we got 2 games remaining, and we've clinched a share. It's a good time to be greedy in a good way. We don't just want to share. We want to win it outright. And so that's the way our guys felt.
Coach, in the first half, it looked like Tyler was on pace to setting or tying the program all-time record for games in a single game record for assists in a game. What can you just say about his performance in the first half? 11 assists on 19 made baskets from the field.
Yeah, Tyler passes the ball at a high level all the time. Assists, and that was when I played. That was kind of my stat too. they're always dependent on someone making a shot. So in the first half, you had number one bombing them in at a high level, even that last play from almost half court. So that helps your assist numbers. But you got to make a good pass as well. And Tyler's as good as anyone in the country at finding teammates and putting teammates in position to score. And what's been awesome this year is you've seen the evolution of his scoring and his finishing, which has made him so much more difficult to defend. And then sometimes, now I think you'll start to see some people helping a little bit more because he's scoring the ball so much. So that will help his assists.
You mentioned you're going to watch a lot of the second half. Obviously, the first half was the domination you were looking for, especially against a team like DePaul. What do you think is the next step with these final two games to have your guys have that complete game of domination?
I think presence. We live in this world that is increasingly trying to pull us out of the present moment, back into the past or into the future. And I think, in college basketball, there's no harder time with that than right now, late February or early March before the postseason hits. And human nature got us a little bit. I think at halftime, we didn't come out of halftime with the same edge and urgency that we had to have. And our guys have been awesome out of halftime, majority of our games. I mean, the Creighton game, the way that they started the second half was obviously a big part of why we won. But they are human beings, and, they're subject to human nature. That got us a little bit. So what we're looking for is an understanding that regardless of circumstances, we want to be in our circle, which means stay dedicated to the things that make us our best. And the hard part is regardless of circumstances, because it's easy to be that early on or when things are going well, or when you, quote-unquote, have to be that way. It's harder to be that way if you don't, quote-unquote, have to be that way or if you don't feel like being that way. But that's who we want to be.
Coach, in the second half, DePaul came out 41-29. Can you pinpoint maybe something that allowed them to get that offense going early on? Maybe it
Yes.
was what you just said, was the not coming out with the right maybe mindset?
Absolutely. Well, the mindset comes first, and what comes after the mindset is either the appropriate violence, multiple efforts, energy, or below the line. And I thought, for most of the second half on defense, we were below the line in those areas. There was a play where one of their guys caught the ball a little bit above the foul line, and he just drove it aggressively, put his head down and drove it, and he got all the way to the basket. Not acceptable. And so tomorrow we will spend quite a bit of time in the film room, and, we'll have some reflection. But, I mean, it's great that, our guys have put us in the position we're in so that we can reflect and learn from games like this, and we still won, and then we still have games to continue to, hone our craft and improve and win.
No, Butler has been a really competitive team all year. They took down Xavier at their place. What do you have to do to avoid the same fate that Xavier felt and get closer to the Big East title?
Well, I mean, our game doesn't have anything to do with Xavier's game. I think what we have to do is respect the game first and foremost to the fullest, and everything that goes into success on both ends of the floor, starting with our effort level, our readiness, our connectivity, and then from there, fight our butts off to win each possession one at a time, knowing that it's not going to be easy, knowing that they have good Big East players too, and, really, really stay together. I think when you go on the road, there has to be a togetherness and a true commitment to each other in order to get out of there with a win. So it'll be a heck of a challenge for us, but by the time that ball goes up on Tuesday night, our guys will be, very, very excited about it.
Just what was your point of view on the technical foul in the second half?
Was my point of view? I mean, nobody likes getting technical foul, so it kind of was what it was. My only thing with all that is, I don't get a lot of technicals. I'm not a big guy like cursing officials or anything like that. But, if we're going to give a technical, then, okay, everyone should get a technical for the same thing. And my point throughout the year, and we're fortunate to even be in a position to make this point, is that if we have a lead, the foul should be called the same way as if it was tied. Should be no different. And I think any other coach would advocate for that same thing. So that was my point at that time. Did it merit a technical foul? I guess so. But I will always fight and advocate for our guys. And my thing is this. If it's a foul, and Tyler Kolek drew a bunch of fouls late in the game that were called. If it's a foul, then it's a foul. And, I think officiating is really, really hard. I do it in practice, and I'm not very good at it. But I think that's kind of what you're striving for as a coach is, no matter what the score is, it being the same. Thank you.
One more. On a different kind of sorry. On a different note, Cam was in here. He was talking about his biggest hater, his number one hater. Both of those guys obviously have high wattage personalities. As a coach, what do you see from their relationship, their back and forth that they like to
Well,
give?
those guys are roommates, and they love each other, and they've always, really since the summer of their freshman year when they got here, they've always had this competitiveness. They play one-on-one as much or more than anyone, and they argue about who's better. It's one of those things where we're still trying to help them grow and develop into, grown men. But I love their energy. I love the bond that they have together. And I like the fact that they rib each other and they give each other a hard time. The next step is, having that seriousness about you that, hey, this is my brother, but with us combining together, you can't do anything with us because he's good and I'm good. And I think we still have some steps to take with that, with those two guys. They're such fun-loving, happy guys, and I love it. I love their energy. But they're going to have to continue to grow in terms of gritting their teeth and looking that other team in the eye and saying, this is ours. And this is ours because he's really good and I'm really good, and you have to deal with both of us and the rest of our teammates. So we'll keep growing. They're sophomores. We'll get there.
Coach Oso has been doing a great job of staying out of foul trouble all year until tonight. And just wanted to, what adjustments did you make, and how did you think Ben Gold played?
I thought Ben did some good things. I thought that Oso just, he got the one early. We took him out. Then he went back in. He got another one like right away, and he could never really get into a flow. Then he was kind of playing not to foul after that. Still picked up a third one. I thought he played well. 6 for 7 from the field. I thought he had some good defensive possessions, but I did think that his foul trouble was a real factor in the second half in terms of, him and Stevie are really the guys more than anyone, and Omax, that kind of spearhead of the aggressiveness of our defense. And he just wasn't able to be as aggressive. We played some zone, some possessions that helped us. I think overall it probably was better statistically, but we're a man-to-man team, and it's just hard to play as aggressive in man-to-man when you have 3 fouls or 4 fouls late in the game. So I thought he did a good job, but, obviously we need him in there for more than 18 minutes. And then Ben is continuing to improve. Didn't shoot the ball great from outside, but we love him, and he's gaining confidence. I'm just really excited about his development. He's got as much potential as anyone on our team, and he's really just scratching the surface. So happy to see him get extended minutes and be able to go in there and give us a lift. He only looked like a freshman on a few plays tonight, which is real progress. He still had a few freshman moments, but overall, I thought he gave us a real lift. Thank you, guys.